Hey guys, sorry to start every video like that, but at this point it's kind of like I don't really know how else to start the video. You know what time it is? It's the wrong time because this clock doesn't work. However, it is time to make an Asperger's video because I haven't in a while and I kind of wanted to. Also, because of recent events that I will go into and talk about in this video. This video is going to be about, autism in general, actually, and weirdness, and not just like to start the video. I kind of have to specify what weirdness is, because when people say weirdness, they kind of assume it just means non-normalness, but nobody's normal, and that's everyone knows that. Yet nobody seems to listen to that. I've always liked weirdness. Okay, not always. When I found out I had Aspergers and started looking into it, I started realizing that you can't judge people for how weird they are, since you were weird yourself. When you have Asperger's, you have to realize that if you judge other people for weirdness, you have no right to complain that they treat you different for your Asperger's. So, I've always been enjoying the mails I get, the comments I get from people saying stuff like, "Oh, I, eat pancakes with my ice cream." That was a horrible example because that's delicious. But like well, actually that's a good example because they point something else and they're like, "Oh, I'm so weird. Look at this. Do you think I have Asperger's? Oh, it's so weird." When in reality, it's not really weird, and it's just a thing they do. It's just there. It's like in Sweden we have this expression, uh, which translates to the taste is like your butt. It's divided, and it basically means that everyone has different tastes. So weirdness to me has always been a fascination, because I want to understand it. Like I don't want people to say something and then people around them go, "Oh, okay," and then just like back away slowly. I want people to say something and people go, "Oh, that's how you do it? That is interesting. This is how I do it, you idiot." I want them to listen and understand rather than just react. That is what my videos has been about from the start, really. Making people understand Asperger's and not just dislike them because they're weird. Because they are different and weird. And that's awesome. So, weirdness. What is it? It's what normal people don't do. Is that it? I don't really agree to that definition because since everyone does different things anyway. To me, weirdness, the original definition of weirdness should be kind of like how people use awesome, even though it's just good. Awesome should mean that you're in awe of something. In the same sense, I think that weirdness is something that is considered wrong, basically. Like, not just wrong, but it's like if you ask anyone other than that person who is doing it, anyone would say that it's weird. That is what weird is. Like, weird is something so extraordinarily different that there is no group for it. Even though there might be, psychological name for it, but like there's no understanding it, and it's just weird. The example would be platypuses, because they're weird, and that's like a scientific fact. It's actually weird that they're mammals and they have a what's it called, a beak, a bill, I think it's called, the thing that Donald Duck has, and they're unique in that sense, which makes them weird. So keep that in mind while I tell you the story of this woman who came to my work the other day. I work in a restaurant. We had an evening buffet. There were like 3 days in a row. There was a bus for eyesight disabilitated people. Like they couldn't see well, so they had like a trip. They had like a club and like a community trip with them whatever, doesn't matter. One of them, though, was not just didn't. They had another disability, and it was I never actually got an answer to the name or anything. She had autism, and it caught me as strange because I have autism. Aspergers is a form of autism, so I was like, oh, that's what I have. And then stuff happened with her, and I realized that clumping myself in with this same group as her makes me feel kind of weird and bad, basically. I don't really want to, like I keep saying, I don't think that weirdness is bad, so I don't want to keep being mean towards her. However, she did stuff like push ahead in the queue. At a restaurant, we have a buffet there. She pushed ahead of the queue, literally walked into the center of the queue and pushed ahead. And there was a guy there trying to push her back, I was, what are you doing? And she just pushed back, okay, she's here in the queue. There's food in front of her, all the way. And she pushes in here and starts grabbing food from over the other end of the buffet, stretching over the place, taking stuff with her fork, putting it on her plate. And when people push back, she just goes, "I'm a bitch," and puts food up. That would be rude, but it's also considered weird because it's just fucked up. That's just not behavior you should be doing. She constantly yelled, screamed, and like a baby basically, as tried to get her way, which would be considered rude, but some people always like that. She always asked silly questions, non-stop. She went to the reception area and asked them questions, the most random questions you could ever imagine, non-stop. It was fine. I ask questions too. I like asking silly questions. It's a thing I do. Then she started calling, rather asking in the reception area if apparently if there was any single guys there. It's fine, asking if there were single guys. Then she demanded that they would call in the most handsome guy in the restaurant, which was apparently me, because I was the only guy working at the time. And they called me in. I was like, "This is the most handsome man we have here." And she just went, "Are you single?" No, she went, "Do you have company?" And I went, "Yes." And she went, "Oh, well, then you don't work." And then she asked them if they had any single guys there instead. And when they said no, she was sticking around there asking them, "When are the single guys coming here?" So they told her that because the buffet was closing at 8 or 9. They told her that the single guys come in there at 9. Just because they knew that she had to leave at 9, so she wouldn't stick around that long anyway. So 9 came along, and she showed up in the reception area wearing nothing but a bathrobe. And apparently they knew that she was wearing nothing but a bathrobe because it was wide open. And she had her hands in the pocket and flaunting it open. And she walked up there talking to my boss, who is this old guy, just an old person. And she asked him what the weather was going to be tomorrow, while naked. And he stared, of course. And then she apparently left. My theory is that she was waiting for the single guys to come there, because we told her they would be there at 9, so she was prepped up, naked. And the next day, I wasn't here at most of these, but apparently she had been fighting with people in the queue for the breakfast buffet, so far that she had apparently ripped off parts of her eyebrows from someone, so they were bleeding from the eyebrows. She had ripped it off from them. She had been throwing plates around, literally on the floor, because she was mad that there wasn't any guys there. Now, that's weird, right? However, anyone's allowed to be weird. The limit of the problem rather is when your weirdness is actually affecting other people. And I mean affecting as in you're hurting them, you're destroying their vacation, you're scaring them and yelling at them, and just being nuisance to people. That's when weirdness goes from being, a personality trait and cute, and just turning into something you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be that weird. Weirdness is one of those things where it's like confidence. Confidence is good. You can have lots of confidence. If you have too much confidence, you're just a douchebag and nobody likes you. You're one of those people. And my point here is that people with Asperger's keep worrying about being too weird and being quoted as being weird. But you need to not worry about that. Instead, look at what you're doing, your actual actions. Because it has nothing to do with Asperger's and it has nothing to do with being weird. Sometimes you're just out of bounds. And I bring this up simply because I get a lot of emails from people saying stuff that they do, and then ending the sentence with, but they don't understand that I have Asperger's. And Asperger's isn't an excuse. It's an explanation at best. It's not even that. Just because you have Asperger's, you don't have to be a douchebag, Sometimes you do stuff, and it's wrong, and you shouldn't be doing it. The end. I think that's the moral of this video. It feels kind of lackluster as a moral, though. Maybe it's because I haven't been making videos in a while. Still, stay in school. And this was just an anecdote, I suppose. So, bye for now, I guess. Bye. Jesus. Don't stop staring at me.